order, and we'll start with a roll call. McKee here, Schultz.
Here.
Varenkamp.
Here.
Nichols.
Here.
And Councilor Bodema is out today. If you'd like to stand and join us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go on to agenda approval. Do we have anything from staff? I think a couple changes.
Table item number 7A for till next meeting.
Okay.
And make an addition of item 9E, please.
So I'll just pull that in consent and table it in the addition of.
When will the new system be in place?
That's more of a
It's a
Zoom thing, I think, is the issue for this.
But with Granicus, what would be moving
It'd be a
away from
Michelle
Zoom?
question, I think.
Okay.
Okay. Anything from council?
No.
If I could, and I apologize if this is a little premature and stuff, I would like to have or put on the next agenda a conversation about our canine. The time is getting near. I think we need to start making decisions about his future and what we're going to do next as far as that goes. If you guys are all right with that, if we could direct staff to bring information. I know I might be too close. I love him. Officer Zeke is something else, but I think he's close to 8. The span of those dogs serving is somewhere between 8 and 10 years and stuff, and I'd like to have a conversation if Matt has time or if Pete has time to look that up, and we can talk about that at your next meeting. I'd love to have that.
Could we get something teed up for the next meeting?
I don't know if we need to add it to the agenda, but
I
if
don't
we could
think so. I
make
think we
that-
can just by,
Okay.
I don't even think we need a motion, but thank you, that's the word I'm looking for.
Big
By
words
consensus.
already tonight. So thank you for that. I want to make sure we've got everything in order for something like that. I know there's a procedure as anybody looks at retiring a canine and such, so.
Sounds good.
Would have been a great officer for us. And
Absolutely.
I want to respect it as much as we can, so thank you.
Appreciate that. So I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of 9E.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, commission representatives, we have Commissioner Horn and Commissioner Anderson here today. Perfect, thank you guys. And then now we'll go into consent agenda. No, excuse me, we will go into open forum. So anyone who would like to speak on a non-agenda item, we'll start with people here in person, and then Matt will walk us through for online as well. I believe I do have one comment card from Jason. Yep. Perfect. If you want to start us off, and then Matt after that. Yeah. And if you could give us your name and address. I do have it here, but just for the minutes.
Absolutely. Jason Bartles, 19795 Hunters Ridge.
Holy cow.
And my neighbors, our neighbors.
Welcome, everybody.
Good evening to you, Mayor, council members, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight, and thank you for the neighbors for standing up with me. This is an issue that's important to all of us. I got designated as the spokesman, but I'm glad everybody's here to show support. Our properties are on Hunters Ridge, just east of Highway 116 towards the Bellwether development. Until recently, we've been able to enjoy this rural Corcoran on a quiet cul-de-sac. Now we're getting a bit nervous. Friday, October 27, we found a work crew putting down a gravel base and connecting our cul-de-sac with the Bellwether stub street. There's currently only a flimsy snow fence preventing construction traffic or any other traffic from coming through. We've known for some time that Bellwether has wanted to break through that road and gain access to Hunters Ridge. The question on our minds now is, did council recently approve that access, or is Bellwether just tired of waiting? We're wondering about the need to have that road open and construction vehicle access via Hunters Ridge, when there are numerous other access points to that development and they're not currently building in that section of the development anyway. When that section of Bellwether development does get completed, we know that our cul-de-sac will be no more and access will be open. We get it. It's been our understanding that our street will remain as is until absolutely necessary for it to change. Water and sewer will eventually cut somewhere through our property to get to Bellwether. Will that impact our road structure? Probably. Hennepin County Parks is already surveying for trails and paths in the area. Will that impact the road structure? Probably. Obviously, the road status and the access is our concern. We're wondering if this snow fence change is the first domino in the process that is now starting to fall. We're hopeful when the time comes for all those other changes, they can be bundled together and have kind of a one-and-done approach to help minimize the disruption for the residents of Hunter's Ridge for the benefit of the big developer, Bellwether. For the sake of the long-term residents of Hunter's Ridge, most of us are here before you tonight, as well as our other neighbors who are unable to attend, please let us keep some normalcy for as long as we can, and let us enjoy the rural Corcoran that we love a bit longer. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank
you,
you.
Jason.
Appreciate your comments. All the support. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate
Sorry.
it. I appreciate everyone
Oh.
coming out. Thank you.
Very good, thank you.
Staff, get back to them with the answers.
Yeah, and we can have staff follow up with you guys with some of the, we don't typically do the whole back and forth at the
Okay,
meeting,
sure.
but we can certainly have someone reach out, from staff to try to answer some specific questions, and then feel free to reach out to me as well, anytime.
Okay, appreciate that.
Perfect.
Appreciate that.
Of course.
Thank you for hearing us.
Of course.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience for open forum? All right, for those online that wish to speak at open forum, please raise your hand.
Helping the nation.
I'll make a motion to close public
60% of the
forum.
violent.
I'll
We
I'll
have a
second the
motion.
closure.
Second. Any discussion on the item?
There was one person there that made the comment, it was his turn.
Moses?
Was that Moses that we overlooked?
That we're trying to unmute, yes.
So that would be number 3.
We have a motion and a second.
We do have a motion and a second.
We do.
So we're gonna need to vote on that first.
We gotta do it.
So any additional comments? No? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
4-0 to close public comment.
Okay.
I'd like to put it for discussion at a later point to talk about having open forum only in person.
Okay.
It'd be a good idea too.
Maybe,
I'm getting kind of sick of this calling.
yeah, and I wanna, maybe once Michelle's back, we can have a conversation as well as how it will change with Granicus, because it will be a different process a little bit, so maybe.
Yeah, I
some of
think
that-
if there's a way to get people to have to sign in with a verified identity or something to that effect, it might cut
There
down
has to
on.
be a way that someone's doing, so
Spam.
we'll look into it, but yeah, we can put that on an upcoming agenda to discuss.
Thank you.
And just for public record too, folks, everybody, a number of you have been here when we've had some things like this in the past. While we all believe in freedom of speech and those kind of things, the conversation, some of this stuff has been extremely inappropriate related to us. So thank you for your patience very much.
Okay, we will move on to consent agenda. Does anyone want to pull anything other than, I will pull 7A. Nope. Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve consent agenda items 7B through 7I.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then I will make a motion to table item 7A to the next meeting, Matt? To the next city council meeting.
Second.
Either one of us.
Take your pick. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Through consent, we have no planning business tonight. On to unfinished business, we have 5 items, first of which is a public hearing regarding delinquent fees. So I'll go ahead and open the public hearing on that, and we'll hold that, have the item, and then we'll have a public comment opportunity for items 9B through E after 9A. So I'll go ahead and open the public hearing.
Anyone in the audience?
We have no hands so far.
How many
No,
people we
I'll
got
make a
online
motion to
now?
close the public comment.
11.
11, thank you.
No one in.
I would second the closure.
All those in favor say aye.
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 9A. Matt, or who's taking that one?
All right. So this is for the certification of the unpaid annual service charges. The list is included there. We held the public hearing. So I guess if there's any comments, we would be looking for approving resolutions for 2023-94 and 2023-95 to certify the fees to Hennepin County.
Okay. Thank you very much. Does council have any questions or items they want to go over on 9A?
Hang on, I'm just checking, double checking, making sure I'm not on it, so.
I did the same.
I'll make a motion.
Just kidding, I'm
to
up.
approve resolution 2023-94 and 2023-95.
Second.
All righty. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, on to 9B, which is, or we'll actually do the public comment opportunity, which we're going to, I think, restrict to in-person on this, since it's not a mandatory requirement. It's a,
Didn't we already
Discretion.
have public comment, Mr. Mayor?
no, we had a public hearing for 9A,
Oh, I'm sorry.
and then this is the public comment for 9B through E.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
So we'll restrict that to, for this meeting, given what's already gone on, to in-person comments, and then go on to 9B.
Okay. In-person comments for items 9B through 9E. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak on items 9B through 9E?
Okay. Then we will go into item 9B, which is city logo design finalist.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Kathy Hughes, Administrative Services Director. On October 26th work session, City Council directed staff to move 5 city logo designs submitted through 99 Designs to the community input stage. The survey results have been compiled. I tried to summarize them the best I can, also providing transparency with every piece of the survey. So you'll find packet, the attachment 9B1 contains the results from the 5 designs, along with community members' input on each design. I also showed the ranking, the results from dislike all the way up to they love them, perfect representation of our community. So today we're looking for direction. Options are approving 1 logo design with any changes that you'd like to have made. We have a deadline of 3 days with 99 designs to choose the final design if council wants. Another option is to decline all of the logo designs and provide direction to staff, some new direction.
Okay. Anyone want to start discussion on this one? We got, how many items is it?
5?
5, is it? Yeah. Any favorites or least favorites?
If I can say
Go
something
for it.
real quick.
Yeah.
The reason we were talking about this was a possible new representation of our city, simplify it, clean it up to make it less expensive to put on clothing, garments, those kind of things and such.
And less
So,
difficult.
Well,
less difficult, so I just,
Correct.
if I'm too far one way, I'm one that's gonna go for simple. When you look at the results on this and such, number 5 has the highest rating and stuff. It has a tremendous amount of suggestions to make it better. I have not read through them yet, obviously, because I wanted to spend a little bit more time and see what comes out of it, to see if there's people interested possibly in spending more time with us in a different way. I know I've had a couple of people call and ask why we didn't call them, because they're in the business. They would look at donating time, those kind of things, and I just basically said, we've had that conversation already and nobody replied. So that's input from me right now. And again, for $300, we got an awful lot of great information, and I want to thank Kathy and staff. Narrowing it down to, what, 15 for us, and then we took it down to 5 with some changes. But I almost would like to hear if there is somebody out there that is a professional that would do it for little or nothing, if that makes sense. So, that's me.
May I make a comment? I want to clarify the statement you made about, I think you were going in the right direction, but you kind of stopped short, and I don't want to create confusion.
That's
in the
okay.
Community. We didn't do this for clothing and garments. It's for all,
Yes, and our identity, our logo,
Right.
our brand, whatever we
but
want to
it's
call that word.
a lot of it's for signage on parks and trails and
Water tower.
Anywhere we use the city logo now, it's too complicated for print, especially when we start putting it on signs going
Yeah.
outdoors and stuff. So
Thanks, Emma.
I just wanted to clarify that, because some of the comments in here was like a total waste of money and whatnot. But
Yeah.
there is a rational reason why we're doing this, so.
Thanks for
And it's not that we
clarifying
don't
that,
like the
Ellen,
current
too.
one.
No,
I
right.
think we all like the current one, but it's just a little difficult to put on a lot of that stuff that you're
To
talking
size
about.
down to
Yep.
it, so. I just wanted to clarify that.
No,
But
you did
you're
good.
right on the point.
Appreciate it.
So Dean, just to kind of follow up on your comment. You thinking potentially someone in the community willing to work with a design or some feedback we have on a design, or you're talking about a whole different process?
What was explained to me, the whole thing.
Okay.
Literally, even to the point of sitting down with a work session, talking with us, trying to figure out what we're to do, what we're doing, what we want to do, and then come back with suggestions to us.
My
in a
only
forum such
concern
as
would be the
this.
timeline that we have.
Can we figure this done by December?
Yeah, for that, and is there any timeline we have regarding these? We could probably extend that out.
I haven't asked about extending the final round, which we have 3 days left. Actually, it's now down to two days,
Okay.
a little under an hour's, where we have to choose a finalist for the contest ends.
And we have already paid for,
Correct. We cannot get a refund at this time.
which is fine, the minimal amount, so we could always select one and close out this process,
Yeah.
potentially work with.
Can I ask a question? Has anybody reached out to you, Kathleen, the last couple of days?
Yes, there's one person that has, but I'm waiting until a decision is
Okay.
made today before I communicate back. And I also would recommend we create a process for this to make it equitable, that everybody who wants to submit or make a request like we have in the past, do the same process.
I'm not really comfortable with resetting the whole process. We began with looking at people local in the area who could potentially participate. It was relatively expensive. No one told us they would do it for free.
Right.
So at this point, I think I'm comfortable selecting from among the choices that we have with some modifications. I would not want to start over.
You want to start on what your preference is?
I liked 5 in the beginning. I think the feedback that we got on 5 is largely positive. I thought there were some good suggestions on tweaks that we could consider that might make it even better. Some of the feedback that I thought was most valuable was the thought around either making it a thinner hexagonal line so that it appears a little bit less like a police badge, or potentially going to a round shape instead of a hexagon, changing the word Corcoran to a black font and maybe something a little bit thinner. But overall, I think there was a pretty good reception to the content of the logo, and I think it does do a pretty good job of tying in a lot of the elements across the city.
Okay. Does anyone else have thoughts on that one in particular, or do you want to go into what your favorites were? I agree with a lot of what you said. It wasn't, that one wasn't my top choice, but I do like the edits, I think, that you suggested there if we were to go down that route.
I think it's worth noting too that even if we pick, let's say, I'm just gonna throw an example, we pick design 5. We don't need to use design 5 on the water tower, right? We can just say City of Corcoran and have something else on it too. So
That's true.
that's, I think, something to think about.
And were there simpler versions of 5 that didn't have all of the colors? Was that one of the ones where they gave us some silhouettes?
Yes, and all 5 designers have been very clear about, we will make whatever edits you want. But yes, they created multiple variations. This was the final one after the work session, after the edits were made.
But
One comment was from the community members was, instead of the flat green area, to make it more of a rolling hill area, for example. That was one comment.
Yeah.
Should have John here, he's so much into this design stuff.
Yeah,
They picked the one to miss.
But I mean, I agree on the, if we were to go this route, the black font over the green, potentially a less bold font, removing or at least thinning the actual black hexagon. I like the hills idea, getting a little bit more variation in the landscape, the green. That's,
Another comment was to make the silhouettes in the background black instead of the green. The farm, the home, the trees was another comment.
Is this actually doable to be scalable to what we're trying to accomplish? Because if you look in here, there's, you know, there's whisks of white across the sun, there's like a light in the stream, there's intricate designs in the barn and stuff. How is that going to translate to actual signage when we try to put it on a park sign? That's what worries me about some of this.
I think that's where the silhouettes would come in.
Probably easier on a park sign, something like this might be difficult on a water tower to that scale. If you're just imagining a water tower might be more difficult to fit all this in.
Right.
You might have a better chance on some of those park elements, but once you start talking about the scale of that, it's probably difficult to fit in.
Is it possible if we come back to this to get like an illustration of what these logos might look like on per se like a water tower or a mock-up of like a park sign or something like that? Areas where we're going to actually really use them.
I think we could.
You just superimpose it on.
I would think the designers would be able to do whatever we ask, and especially as mentioned, there were other silhouettes and variations of this
Yeah.
that would probably fall more in line with a water tower type design.
Okay.
Yeah, we can incorporate them on a scale type drawing, either like the water tower for that one specific, to put it on there to see if that's something that might be smaller, it might fit better.
Right. I mean, it might help in the decision process because when you look at it on a white piece of paper, it might look great, but you put it on a sign or somewhere, and put it along on the side of even a side of a plow truck, you know, does it really look good still? And I wonder too, when we have blue plow trucks, how's the green sign gonna look on it as well? But,
And I remember one, it was literally just the silhouette of the design, and it was black. There was one that was gray, I believe, in
Yeah.
color. So definitely different variations. I think designers
Yeah, it was
can do a
basically just
lot.
a monochrome, gray or black or
yeah,
white.
I mean, that would help me decide, really, if I could see something like that.
Yeah.
is it one of those things where we choose that design, but it could be something completely different once we're done with that designer?
Correct. My recommendation, so that we can close out the contest, is to choose a design, and then we can have them do other variations or tweaks to the design to meet the needs of the city. And then if it doesn't work out, then
Because with what Alan is saying, what I was thinking was we're going to need a different variation, one for the water tower, one for park signs, one for garments, one for letterhead. I mean, but all having the same base type deal, if that makes sense.
yes, that makes sense.
How would we interact with the designer to make these tweaks? Would it be through just
So-
feedback at a meeting and then staff working with them, or would we get a chance to to directly work with them?
It would be through me as
Okay.
the point of contact and the team that has been working on the project from the city.
Gotcha. I wonder if we should even make a subcommittee to do that so that we don't have to give the feedback now,
Yeah.
get it in 2 weeks, and then that's kind of it. We can work alongside with that. Anyone want to volunteer? I'm happy to hop on that.
I'll volunteer.
I'm probably too, I want it simple, so I'll
We
back off
we
if
can
that's
keep that
all
in
right.
mind.
I'll leave it to you. I can't pick paint at my house, so I can't pick a logo sign.
All right, I'll
I
make
don't
a
know if I
mo-
like it or not.
I'll make a motion to nominate myself and Counselor Nichols to a subcommittee to work with Kathy on with the designer of choice. Once we have that, so do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so now on the actual design, are we thinking 5 with whatever edits we come up with based on this feedback, and then probably based on what some of the tweaks look like and going from there?
The application of that to water tower truck,
Yeah, yep.
everything
And
else.
seeing the different monotone gradients or variations of that.
And to the designer's credit, they packed everything into that
Yeah,
we
it
were
does.
looking for. It's just,
It does do a good job of representing kind of everything. My favorite, I think, was still number 4, but I see what, I do like number 5 as well, especially with some of the changes we've discussed. So I could support that.
I mean, I like both. I think 4 is nice and simple, but it did get definitely more support. How many people responded to the survey?
100 and, I put it on page 1, 66 responses over 8 days.
That's pretty good.
I thank all the businesses in the city of Corcoran who posted our logo flyer and the QR code for community members to do the survey, so
It's awesome.
Wonderful, thank you.
Appreciate
they taped it up in their businesses and on counters by registers,
I love
and
it.
met a
That's
lot of
awesome.
new people.
That's great.
It's fantastic.
I'm fine with 5 if you want to
Okay.
work up some mock-ups of it, and then I'll give my final up or down when we see what it actually looks like with those
Sounds-
examples.
Sounds good. Then I'll make a motion that we proceed with design 5 and work, the subcommittee work with Kathy over the next, whatever timeline you need us to
Perfect.
come up with a final design.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks to everyone
Thank you,
for the feedback
a
on
lot of
this.
work.
I'm very impressed with the 166 responses. That's great.
It's wonderful.
Especially when you put something online, especially with naming or designing or anything, at least it can always go sideways. So to get actual valuable feedback on that is awesome. Ask the city of Minneapolis why they have, or is it Hennepin County or the city of Minneapolis why they have Plowy McPlowface the plow. So we'll move on to 9C, which is the Three Rivers Cooperative Agreement.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. I will note that we have Stefan Scherson from Three Rivers in the audience today, so if I do have any mix-ups on any details, I'm sure he can step in and correct me. But tonight, we're bringing before you, do you mind? There we go. We're bringing before you the Three Rivers Park District Cooperative Agreement. We've been working on this for quite some time. The idea is that we work together with Three Rivers to help build that Diamond Lake Regional Trail, that north-south trail running from upwards of Dayton Rogers down through our city and down south. It would run through 4 development areas that we're highlighting on the table here. Amberley Bellwether, which is kind of a combo one per the development agreement, and then separately Bellwether on its own, Rush Creek Reserve, Corcoran Farms Business Park, and then Tavera. You can see that there's a few different options in the table. There's built and entitled. Built would just mean that it's here, it's been approved in the final plat for the trail, even if the trail hasn't been constructed yet per se. The entitled is the difference between the period of preliminary and final plats. So the compensation for that will be deferred until it does become a built trail, in quotes, if you can see my fingers. We're looking for reimbursement of about 25% of an 8-foot trail cost. So our reimbursement amount is $17 per lineal foot currently. 25% of that is because we would be making it a 10-foot wide trail, different from our 8-foot wide standard, so we're adding that extra quarter. So it would come out to $4.25 a lineal foot. And you can see on the table that we've got the approximate trail lengths and then the approximate compensation amount, and we've also got deferred in there as well. So grand total would be coming up to about $89,000. But in addition to that, we also have the city park alignment, so the design and the alignment of that, trying to figure out where it would navigate through. Three Rivers is willing to put up $15,000, up to $15,000 to define that. And then once we have a regionally significant trail, which can be met by the thresholds of either 50% or more visitation from non-residents, the trail directly connecting to an existing regional park or trail destination, such as Baker, or a continuous or contiguous trail length outside of Baker Park Reserve that equals or exceeds 3 miles. So with this, we think that we've covered everything we could possibly cover. We've gone back and forth with Three Rivers quite a bit, just to make sure that both sides are happy with the agreement. We're covering every area that we have so far, and that we're looking towards the future. At this point, we're looking for a motion from council on whether or not you guys would like to accept the agreement. Or if there's any additional questions, myself or I'm sure Stefan can help answer.
Perfect, thank you. Anything that comes to mind from council? Jeremy's looking something up on his iPad, so.
Can you remind me what the regionally significant threshold triggers? What happens when that's achieved?
Oh, I apologize. I might have skipped over that part. Handing the trail over to Three Rivers for them to take ownership of it. Okay. However, that would be different for winter maintenance. I will note that winter maintenance would still be a city thing if we choose to go that route.
Okay. I do have one question. How is the 50% plus visitation from non-residents ever hoped to be calculated? Any thoughts on that?
I think your most probable is you're going to get to 3 miles.
I agree. I agree. But
Could we do our own staff count?
yeah, if it's just at any given time, I can go find some friends, walk up down the trail. But do you have any thoughts on how this worked in the past? Or has it never been really the main one that triggers?
Council, I prepared myself for a lot of questions, but that's one I didn't prepare.
Fair enough.
So I'm not sure I have a good answer for that. We do our own counts on our own regional trails periodically, but on local trails, we do not.
Gotcha.
So it would probably be sort of an empirical thing, and it's something that we feel like we want to pursue. Perhaps then we could engage our staff to survey the trail or to determine that. So I think this is right. It's more likely to be 3 mile in length or a connection to a regional facility would most likely be the trigger.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Thank you.
I got one, if you got a second too. At the start of this conversation, there was talk about horse trail addition, snowmobile, all that. This location would not include those things. This trail is going to be pedestrian, bike.
Right.
Or is it going to be more than that?
As we included in the master plan, we would accommodate horses and snowmobiles where we can, parallel to the trail.
Okay.
The trail pavement itself would be multi-use, pedestrian, bike, non-motorized.
But 2 minutes, okay.
2 minutes, right. For as much, to the extent possible, we would like to create a wider corridor. 20 feet is kind of our standard for just the trail itself, right? But if, in areas where we can, I think in Corcoran, there's good, places where there's opportunities for that. We would go for a wider corridor where we could accommodate horses with some buffer between the paved trail and horses and bikes on a trail.
It don't mix at all, yeah.
Right. Same thing for snowmobiles, where we would where it fits the regional, or connects to the existing snowmobile trails, and where it's
Okay.
adjacent to or close to our trail, we certainly would like that to happen within the corridor, as long as there's adequate width of that corridor.
Thanks.
I'd also like to thank staff, both present and past, and with their cooperation on not only the master plan, but this agreement too. It'd be a great addition to the city to have this regional facility here and connecting to other regional facilities. So with this agreement, it really sets us up for getting the trail actually built, acquiring the right of way and getting it built hopefully sooner than later.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And I think it's also was included in our packets. There was an email, and I spoke to Marge Beard yesterday about, she was hoping to be here tonight, but it didn't work out with their meeting timing, so she wasn't able to make it. But she was definitely wanting to be here. I know she helped a lot, as well as staff and your staff. But to get Tom.
And just a comment.
Yeah.
That when we first set up Corcoran Parks and Trails, the notion was that we were going to have some really nice parks connected by some really nice trails. The way Corcoran is developing, I won't live to see much of that done. This is just a huge win for Corcoran. It is just taking a big piece of work that would take us forever to do because we don't have the expertise or the experience to do it. This is just huge. This is just a wonderful facility. It'll be loved by the people of Corcoran. It's a real step up for our Parks and Trails system, even though we have to share it with 3 rivers. And it's just spectacular. It makes me really, really happy.
Thanks for sharing that.
I had asked about trying to adopt the Three Rivers Trail Standards as an engineering standard. Are we satisfied with these? I don't know if you looked at that, Steve. Is this suitable for us to include by reference or directly in the future?
The details, you're talking about that right in the back of that?
Yeah, like Exhibit C, I think it is.
The details are really similar to them. One thing we might look at is they have some clear space things that we just maybe don't accommodate as much on our city streets. We'll try to incorporate them where we can. So some of the structural, I don't know if we would just incorporate them in whole, just because at times our city trails aren't going to match them completely, and we may have a couple different design parameters. But some of those elements, as well as we talked about some of the roof barrier type things, we're going to incorporate. So I would actually anticipate to probably not just copy and paste it in, but we just try to incorporate some of the features into it.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else on it? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion to authorize approval of entering into the agreement with Three Rivers Park District, subject to minor edits approved by the city attorney.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan.
Second was Nichols
I move.
or Allen? Okay.
Nichols
Motion.
Schultz.
Schultz.
Oral. Thank you.
Okay, on to 9D, which is the Wildflower Bike Rack.
Me again. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am bringing before you a bike rack request for Wildflower Park. Mayor McKee received a letter from Annabelle, who is a resident in Corcoran, and she noted that there is not currently a bike rack at Wildflower Park. we looked into it, and it would be approximately $1,000 to $1,500 for an estimated cost. But we do have a committed external donation lined up if you guys are interested in approving it. So it wouldn't come out of park dedication or any other unbudgeted funds. And then we are also looking at a few different options for the style. We're not necessarily looking for a recommendation on style preference, but more, would you like a bike rack in the park? Currently, I don't think we have a bike rack at City Park either. So this is something as we move forward and we do get that consultant on staff that we can start addressing, hey, what are the standard things that we'd like to see in a park? Bike racks are probably something, shade structures, benches. But in this scenario, we're looking to treat this as kind of a one-off committed donation and then reassess it once we have that consultant on staff. There's also the option to have either Public Works install it or have the committed donation install it, which...
Do we have a possible Eagle Scout option available of them installing? or being
Installing a
part
bike
of
rack?
that? I'm just saying that usually they build something, do something, and then are part of the,
For the concrete.
yeah.
I would be a little nervous
Little
about
too
the
much.
concrete
Yep.
and footings or whatever they have to
Yep.
do with that, bolting it
Depends
down.
on the Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better some skilled labor out there.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd love it, but I would like to see if Annabelle is the applicant and whoever was we received an email stating that there was one of the kids in the neighborhood suggested it. I'd love to hear from the kid on where to install it.
Fair
Exactly, not us randomly putting it someplace.
Some of these options are not installed, right? Some of the examples that you gave are ones that can be moved around, so we could.
I would
roll
recommend
around.
bolting it in,
Yeah,
Okay.
to be totally honest, but yes, you can generally get like attachments to bolt them in too, so some of them might not show it.
So you could have a bolted one that you chain down, so we don't necessarily have to pour concrete, but you could anchor it in so Public Works could move it when they want to mow.
Yeah,
You could just did it on the grass.
Right.
you saying? Probably could. Yeah.
I mean,
as long as it's like right off the sidewalk, I don't see it being a problem. My only concern would be the tires going into the grass.
yeah, the kids are riding their bikes across the grass no
Yeah.
matter what anyway, so.
But if it's a, what is it, cow path or whatever, where it's going to the same spot every single time, you're gonna have those
Yeah,
divots.
that's true.
Yeah, maybe we'd have Public Works weigh in on which, if they prefer to, it being on concrete or not, as well as Parks and Trails weigh in
Yes.
when,
Yeah.
especially when you're getting into what the specific one might be. I
As-
know, Tom, you had sent an email with a brand that you have worked with. Yeah, and so I think that's something we should look into as well.
still would be neat to reach out to the youngster that suggested this and ask where they would think would be the best place and start there, just to involve.
I'm sure she would give us her opinion
Would
on
she?
it.
She did
knowing
come to
her.
the Parks
Yep.
and Trails meeting. It
I
was
love
very
it.
sweet.
She's
She
a very
presented.
impressive little 6-year-old.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
And you said you were a meanie, Tom.
Had nothing to do with it, you looked at me and just,
Oh, okay. I just,
I'll try to bring in the letter next time. It's still on my fridge. It's adorable.
I love it.
This estimate though wouldn't include concrete though, right? 1,000 to 1,500 is probably not gonna cover the cost of concrete if we put it over concrete.
I think the plan was that it would, with the bike rack being somewhere between the 500 to 1,000. Most of these being kind of somewhere in the middle.
And I did try and provide an array of costs. You'll notice that the Burke options are a little more expensive than some of the other options.
Yeah.
Part of the reason for including Burke, even though they were a higher price point, is because the playground is Burke, and it was per request from the Public Works Department to try and see if we could keep things the same for repair purposes and
Yeah, I just,
The concrete wouldn't be a ton.
I gotta imagine laying 10, a 10 by 4 piece of concrete that's 4.5 or 4 inches thick. the cost of that concrete and putting it down is gonna eat into that $1,500.
Yeah, potentially. That's maybe why I would suggest, option number 2. Oh, I'm sorry, no, option number 1. In which the labor would also be a mixture of labor and the cost of the bike rack being donated.
Option number 1 is one of these.
No, option number 1 is just regarding,
Oh, approve
actual
purchase and
installation
installation
of
of
it,
bike
yeah.
rack utilizing one time. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Jeremy or Dean, any thoughts?
I think that's fine. Yeah. I support bike racks. I'm tired of parking my bike against a tree when I go to that park, so
There you
I
go.
support it.
I've seen
You
you
can go to the
drop your
ribbon cut.
bike off at the edge and run to the park. It's excited to see the kids get involved and make suggestions.
Well,
So we're a lucky community.
does the committed donation, will that cover the full cost?
I anticipate it too. Absent something going completely haywire with it, yes.
Okay, I mean, I don't know anything about the donator or anything, so I'm
It's,
taking your word for it.
yeah, it's me and my family company would be donating the
Okay.
labor, and we do construction, so we should be able to figure out.
So you're
the-
well equipped.
Yeah.
So just my input from Parks and Trails, this would be a chance to add a little flash to the park.
Yeah.
I mean, our park is wonderfully functional, I think, but there's not a lot of flash out there. Something of a little fancier bike rack, something that's custom made that says Wildflower, would be an opportunity, I think. I've worked been at places where the bike rack was not top notch to start with, and after a few years, because it turns into, I think, a kid's play facility. You're hanging on it and climbing on it and doing all sorts of things. Pretty heavy use, and it can look awful. And because it's there and still works as a bike rack, it just looks sort of dowdy for a good while until you finally get it out of there. So to go top drawer, to get something that looks really good, will last for a couple of decades, would be, I think, money well spent. And something that says Wildflower Park, something that looks just kind of snazzy, is I think, pretty big bang for not very many bucks. I think the bike rack should be taken out of Parks and Trails, so that's my sort of personal, that's part of what you should be building, what we missed when we built Wildflower. And so if a little money has to come out of Parks and Trails to kind of make up the difference to something, gosh, I would really support that.
Okay.
It's
Great.
a good place to kind of crank open that Parks and Trails wall.
Yeah.
We might just want to be mindful of what the downstream maintenance is too.
Absolutely.
So we don't want that cost to eat into your budget huge in the future.
And I think the bike racks we've installed at the church I go to are heavily used. They are big stainless pipe. There is no maintenance.
Okay.
They rock out.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happens. So
It'd have to be pretty beat up to not still rack bikes.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the comments, and I think that's all something we can look into, and we're going into which specific type and brand and all that. I'm sure we can look at the various options like that.
And then, is council looking to make the decision on the bike rack? I guess my vision was to bring it back to Parks and Trails and kind of let them make the final say,
Take it back.
if you're good with that.
I think that's a good decision.
Since Alan can't pick out paint colors in his own
right.
home.
This
Sounds
is
like-
literally the definition of bike shedding. We may as well.
Sounds like Tom is gonna do some metal work on top of it all, so.
There you go. So yeah, I think that works. Perfect.
Did we get a motion?
I will make a motion to proceed with option 1.
Do you want to make the motion if you're the committed donation?
I
I'll
will
make the-
entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion. for
Second.
number 1.
Schultz, Grandcamp. Any further discussion?
Can we up that and demanded the donation to be like 5,000, and then we could get 4 or 5 on the rack and on the shelf.
I just work here, I follow your direction.
Do a nice thing and then.
You're doing great, man. I love it. I was gonna commit to some too, but we'll talk later.
Sounds good. Alrighty, if there's no further discussion, then all those in favor say aye. Aye. Perfect. Thank you, thank you. And then finally, 9E on unfinished business.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Square away here. So in June, council authorized staff to conduct a hiring process for a police sergeant position. With that process, we've identified our preferred candidate, gone through the hiring process steps, and are now asking for authorization for the mayor and city administrator to be able to issue a job offer to the preferred candidate.
Okay, any questions for Matt?
He is our part-time one and to go full-time now.
Yes.
Outstanding choice. Good job.
Anything else? Then I will entertain a motion to authorize the mayor and city administrator to issue a job offer to the preferred candidate.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is that a Nickelodeon sound?
No, it's not even on sound, that's the thing.
That's pretty funny.
Well, let's not pick on Buck tonight.
Okay, on to new business. We will do another in-person public comment opportunity for items 10A and 10B, which is city council schedule for 2024, and then police department staffing item.
Any individuals in the audience wishing to speak on items 10A and 10B, please approach the podium and state your name and address.
Okay, we'll move on to item 10A.
Item 10A is our city calendar. So we have our draft city calendar. I think Michelle was able to make the typical changes. You'll notice the December and November meeting adjustments that we would typically see. If you have any questions or requested changes for the 2024 calendar.
Gotcha. Anything that stands out? It looks like kind of the same philosophy that we did this year in terms of November being early, like a Monday meeting early, and only one December meeting, which I think worked out pretty well this year, or should work out well with all the holidays and everything. And other than that, it's pretty straightforward. I don't think there's any other rescheduled meetings or holidays that our Thursdays fall on.
The only other one would be, the only other one would be, that I can see would be March 28th.
March 28th. For you not being able to make it, or?
Well, that's Holy
like-
Thursday. I don't know if it comes into play.
Gotcha.
But-
Good catch.
Your suggestion, maybe move it to like a Monday or Tuesday?
Well, we could move it to Wednesday that week. I don't think there's, is that an issue?
Yeah, I don't think it would, have we done a Wednesday meeting? Or is that just, maybe not, just not, there isn't a reason we haven't. I don't think we have in my time here,
If
but.
it's an issue, then don't.
I just know sometimes we run into the consultant issues, so depending on what we have in the agenda, would be the only
I've been out of touch for a little while, isn't Wednesday nights, church nights?
Maybe not that week of.
Maybe
with-
not,
with,
just asking.
yeah. Well, we could always approve the schedule as
Yeah.
is and cancel the meeting and call a special meeting on a date, as long as we do it the week ahead of time or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's do that then.
Good catch,
Okay.
Alan.
Yeah, that's a good catch. We'll make a note of that and keep an eye on it as it gets closer then. So I will entertain a motion to approve the 2024 city calendar as presented.
So moved.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and 10B. police department staffing. Matt.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As you know, we've had a vacancy in the sergeant position. Currently, our deputy director is unavailable, and half of my time has been dedicated to the city hall side. Hopefully, we'll be moving forward with our sergeant soon, and with me likely returning to full-time duties in the public safety spectrum. But that still leaves us short with the deputy director's unavailability. So we'd be asking council for a temporary, or I guess a resolution, approving the resolution for a temporary appointment of Peter Eckenberg to serve as interim deputy director. So I can say that he quickly picked up the duties and turned his schedule and home life upside down to make sure that we were meeting the needs of the city. I think he's probably well suited to fill in the interim to meet our needs. So I guess I would make the recommendation that we appoint him as the interim. That would include consideration of an 8% increase in wage, or it's actually a movement in the wage scale to that similar equivalent. That would be the same as what happens if our patrol officers are acting in a grade up capacity as an acting supervisor. They would receive an 8% change as well. So this is consistent with how we've handled working in a different grade previously in the police department. It's just that this allowance isn't outlined by a collective bargaining agreement currently like the officer changes would be. So happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions? Dean?
Would this be backdated to the time he started?
Yes, this is asking for being retroactive to the date that he changed his schedule and changed
Okay.
his duties.
Okay.
Is he interested in this kind of role long-term as part of his career development anyway?
From my conversations, he is, right now in his career, he's happy where he's at, but he wants to learn and I guess know if this is something that he wants to pursue. So I think
Be a
this
good
is
time for him to see what he likes of it.
a really good opportunity for that.
Yeah, wonderful.
But I do want to make sure that we thank Pete for stepping up to the
Yes.
plate, because we would be in a pickle without him right now. So, and we all know Pete. He's great, and he's really helping us out here. So I want to thank him. And yeah, if there's no other questions on this, Alan, did you have something? Yes.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, I think he'll do a good job. We hope for a speedy return for our
Yes.
permanent deputy director.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You looking for a motion?
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2023-96, appointing Pete Eckenberg as interim deputy director of public safety.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. And with that, I think we are just down to staff reports. Don't know if there's too much. Maybe a update on upcoming schedules, upcoming items, which is in the packet if anyone's interested. It's a lot of procedural annual stuff that we have to do and a couple miscellaneous items in the next couple meetings. We only have 2 more the rest of the year here. And then I would just like to just update on a couple things going on. I don't know if we touched on this in the last meeting. I did see that the striping for the crosswalk in Ravinia and the 2 locations that we had approved a while back did go in recently and looks great. And I would assume people using that are pretty happy. And I believe the Bellwether one, there's a little bit more to that, but that should be being worked on shortly.
Yeah, they were planning on pouring the bases here. I think we're hoping the actual pole, like the electronic parts are coming, so they're doing the concrete work, but we're
Perfect.
hopeful to get this fall.
Awesome. Yeah, hopefully we can keep some of this 40, 50, it's not supposed to get up like 60 in the next couple of weeks at one point.
So the concrete work we've done is just really getting the actual equipment
Yep.
here. It's just ordering.
Yep, but it's in progress, which is good. And then update on the broadband front. I've been getting a few emails from the Comcast team, and they've been keeping me updated with, it sounds like mailers have maybe even started going out to some people and will continue to go out as they get closer to the whole system being live here, which shouldn't be, it should still be this year. So keep an eye out for that, and I'm sure I'll be posting about it on social media as well, and keep an eye on your mail, because service should be here
That's great.
any week. So yeah, perfect. Anything else?
Do we have any new updates on Hackamore project, getting all of the asphalt in? Are we still looking okay?
I don't know. I wish
Okay.
I did.
Fair enough.
We can follow up with you on that, but I'm not
Okay.
sure yet.
Thank you.
I think Kevin told me on Monday they're still planning on finishing that segment and then the street tie-ins this fall still.
As long as the asphalt plant stays open.
If the forecast stays like it looks right now, there's some more work should be able to get done on a number of things, so
That would be great.
knock on wood.
Should have probably added to the agenda, but it was already too late because after agenda approval was before open forum, but I would like to see that we only have public comment in person until we do get a new system in place. These interruptions that are happening for people's joy
Okay.
is a little too much.
Thoughts on that?
I agree.
Okay.
I'm all about city business and such, and
Yeah.
while I understand, again, the right to free speech, it's just, it's not the place for some of those subjects that were
Gotcha.
started, so.
My only, there isn't, I guess, a requirement that we have a public comment by remote means anymore, as long as we are providing it in person, I would think.
I'd have to discuss with our city attorney.
Yeah.
Would you mind
I'd love to.
bringing that to us attention so we can talk about it next meeting?
Yep.
We could probably add it to the agenda early on.
Yeah, and hopefully it's something we can resolve relatively quickly with the implementation of the new software and everything, which I know Michelle's working on. It's a lot, but yeah, hopefully that would help address that, so we can still get the people able to weigh in online, but without running into these problems that keep popping up, because that is kind of counter to the whole point of why we're doing meetings like this. So.
I think given the less controversial nature of the agendas we've had recently, it makes more sense. I think if we had a lot of public engagement, I wouldn't support it. Legitimate, on topic, dealing with affairs the city is responsible for resolving. Would we continue to allow virtual comments in specific sections of the agenda, just not an open forum? Is that what we're talking about, or do you mean across the board?
Right now, I think people can hijack it across the board if they wanted to. I mean, personally, I think I have no problem with people listening in online and following the meeting. But if they want to make a comment, it's easier to control the comment if they're in person.
Could we make them submit a written comment?
Well, I think we'd encourage people to do something like that, like whether it's emailing us or emailing staff with their comment. If it's ahead of time, could be printed out and included on to council at the meeting. If it's during the meeting or too close, could be provided afterwards, and they could, like you said, still listen in. And to Jeremy's point, we could probably, if there was an issue that we knew was going to be a massive issue that the whole city is going to be on and wanting to comment on, we could probably make a motion to that effect to allow it on that item.
Another option we could think through is the chat function works. So people online can chat to the person running the meeting and state their topic. And things that are not topical, we could not allow. Or if they start talking about things that are not the topic they told us they were going to talk about, like what we heard tonight, then they could be cut off for not following their stated area of commentary.
I think I'd suggest that you talk to the city attorney about options, and if there's anything we need to be concerned about, making sure we're meeting all the legal requirements and everything, and then maybe have an agenda item on the 20th to discuss a temporary policy until we get the new system in place.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, have caution about, us gatekeeping your meeting. I don't want to,
Right.
if there was something, I wouldn't want to have to decide what you guys did or didn't feel was relevant. So I think, but if, to your point, whether if there's online comment, maybe they're pre-registered, or, pre-notified saying that they would like to speak, so that we are pre-identified and
Yeah,
can make sure that it is topical.
maybe if you could put together some ideas like that, even if it's just in bullet point form, so we can discuss that at the next meeting. Would be great.
Yeah, because I know that there are, there are comments being made about people that are saying they have legitimate comments, but it's mixed with people that are trying to, we
I
have
know,
probably a
that's-
dozen people, and
That's why it's so frustrating.
Right, and, we don't know for certainty, those people that said they had legitimate comments actually do have legitimate comments when we cut it off. They may have said that hoping we would open it back up. We don't know 100% for sure until it actually comes out of their mouth and goes over our speakers.
Right.
But once that comes out, we don't have a delay in our sound system to cut things off, and we've had past history where people have put inappropriate things online or made comments inappropriate, not only tonight, but in other nights, and I don't think we want to subject our citizens to that vulgarness either.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll be a good discussion for the 20th. And I had a second, I would just say to anyone who's still on the meeting that did have comments that are legitimate, please reach out to us. I know it's not ideal, and hopefully it's a short-term issue that we just can deal with and then can get back to normal way of operating, but definitely don't hesitate to reach out to myself or the rest of the council with any issues, or staff with any issues that you do have.
yes, there's currently 2 other people on
Gotcha.
waiting room right now, and they are commenting in the chat. So.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
Question?
Yeah.
Before COVID, did we just video and audio tape, but we didn't have,
Correct.
we weren't online at that point, right?
We were not interactive, correct.
Yeah, there was a lot of cities. I think more businesses than any. I feel like that took off during.
Yeah,
COVID era.
COVID changed a lot.
Yeah.
We need to adapt, but we don't need to listen to.
Yep. Yeah, I think it'll be a good discussion, and hopefully we can find a way to temporarily balance that and sort it out, and then long-term get back to normal with some structure around it with a new system. So, good deal. Thanks for bringing that up. If there's nothing else, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
You get to pick on the second. A motion
Jeremy.
was Jeremy,
Yeah.
second was either Dean or Alan.
Pick or choose.
Toss a coin. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it.
Hope it was entertaining.
8:13 is not too bad. We could have.